Does it really matter who they play? Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down all the schedules in the Power 5 plus the major independents. That's 70 teams, and we've arrived at the 26th most difficult schedule in college football. It's the fourth most difficult in the Big 12. It belongs to poor Kansas. I made the same statement at the beginning of the Alabama video. I said, does it matter who they play? Meaning Alabama can beat anybody. Obviously, if they had to play Clemson and Oklahoma and USC and Washington and Penn State every week, they would lose some games. But meaning they're most likely the best team in the country. This has been, for a long time, the worst program in the country. Yes, Oregon State might be a little bit worse this season, and they might have been a little bit worse last season, but Kansas is Kansas, and we know Kansas is going to be bad. Oregon State could bounce back and win 3 or 4 games. Kansas is awful. Awful at football, and despite bypassing the better teams in non-conference play, they continue to lose games against the likes of the MAC and other schools. Here's the non-conference schedule for Kansas. Nicholls State, Central Michigan, Rutgers. So they've got a chance with Rutgers coming in as a Power 5 team to win a Power 5 non-conference game for the first time in quite some time with that game at home. Then they dive into Big 12 play. And listen to my logic here. The Big 12 schedules are virtually the same. 8 of the 9 games are exactly the same for everyone because everybody plays everybody. But, of course, you don't play yourself. Therefore, Kansas, by default, has the toughest, by far the toughest schedule in the Big 12, or at least decidedly the toughest, because they don't get to play themselves and they play everyone else. So they get to play all the other teams in the Big 12, of course, and they've got a brutal stretch to conclude the season. So out of the gate in the Big 12, it's Baylor, it's Oklahoma State, it's West Virginia. Not necessarily an easy go for anyone, but especially for Kansas. So any stretch of games difficult for the Jayhawks. Down the stretch, the last 5 games of the season for KU are games against TCU, Iowa State, at Kansas State, at Oklahoma, and Texas. One more time, final 5 games for Kansas. TCU, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Texas. Ouch. Kansas, good luck. Win a game or 2. Hopefully you will get that done here under David Beatty, who's won 1 conference game, that, of course, famously against Texas a couple seasons ago, in going 1-26 in conference play. It's the 4th toughest schedule in the Big 12, even though they didn't schedule anyone outside of the conference. And it's number 26 in the nation. It belongs to the Kansas Jayhawks. Let's schedule, do the ranking schedules with me, and certainly stay tuned for my previews and predictions right here at Mark Rogers TV.